Hey everyone!
Hey!
I'm Adam Harry from BoLS, and this is...
JR, also from BoLS, and we are here with today's Tabletop Hour.
Boom!
Where the burning question on everyone's mind is, are you ready for this?
Dun, 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 dun. Wow, you got a MIDI and everything.
Uh-huh.
I'm ready. I don't know. What are we doing today?
Hold on, I got... Okay, there we go.
There it goes.
Okay. We don't... Just enough to not get a copyright violation.
Boom.
We're
Probably
talking...
still get one.
Yeah, you know, hey. We are talking about Waterdeep Dragon Heist again, which is out for wide release tomorrow. Yes. So, by the time... If you watch this in the future... by the time you're seeing us, it's probably out.
Yes.
If you are watching this live, well, if your friendly local game store might have a copy.
Yeah, there was the select gaming stores did get it early if they were like a super whatever.
Super friend of
Wizards. Yeah. But some stores did get it last week. But it is out
everywhere.
Wide release everywhere.
You can find it at your local grocers.
Grocers?
If they carry
bookstores, grocers.
Yeah, bookstores for sure. That's
convenience
probably
stores.
Yeah. If they're really good,
if they're
cool.
really convenient.
They're also like Barnes and Noble and that sort of thing too.
Yep.
There was
PDFs.
a really fun picture running around Twitter. Apparently, Target sells the D&D rulebook.
Oh yes.
And it listed the playtime as being 1 to 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
for the rest of your life.
If you count like a half a session, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Take a break. 1 or 2 hours. Take a break.
Well, okay. Now, to be fair.
That
is, if you look at an actual session, that is probably about the amount of actual time spent playing Dungeons and Dragons.
You've got a point.
4-hour session, 4 to 6 hours, 1 to 2 actually spent playing D&D.
Yeah. Let's be fair. This is hang out time with your friends too. There's a lot of table talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Waterdeep Dragon Heist coming out.
We also have the Beasts of Chaos.
This book is not out yet. This book is actually up for pre-order.
It's pre-release, but we got
a copy.
And so we're going to tell you guys about that as well. Yeah. And then we're probably also going to talk a little bit about the new World of Darkness that's out.
Ooh,
the new World of Darkness.
New.
Because Vampire, the Masquerade,
is out too.
5th edition is out.
Yes.
It's here.
Yeah. We got a pretty RPG heavy week this week.
Yeah, it is a pretty RPG heavy week
pretty
this
good
week.
Stuff. Anyway, if you guys have questions about these two books in particular,
toss them into the chat.
Drop them in the chat over that side.
I think
it's
over there.
Yeah. Drop them in the chat.
We'll read them.
Our producer Mars is rock and roll in the chat. Drop those questions in, and she'll yell at us until she gets our attention, and then we'll try to answer them as best we can.
Yeah.
That said. Let's get started. Which one should we go? I feel like we knocked this one out. Let's talk Beast of Chaos.
All right.
Because this is the new hotness. We talked about Waterdeep last week a little bit.
We have talked about this last week. Let's get to the good stuff. Beasts of Chaos is out. It's 104 pages.
Hardback.
Age of Sigmar goodness.
Full color. All that good
art,
stuff.
All the stuff you'd come to expect from a Games Workshop book.
Yeah. Now, I do want to get this out of the way. New models, new units. There are no new Beastman models, but you do get there are new endless spells, so it's technically 3 spells have models for them. And
you get the Herdstone.
Boom.
That thing is pretty crazy.
That's pretty crazy. I actually want to skip straight to the Herdstone because it's probably the best thing for the Beastman in the book, because it's not that it's broken. It's just really, like,
it makes
never leave home without it.
Yeah, well, especially since you get one for free, right? It doesn't cost you any matched play points if you're playing matched play, which I think everyone is.
At this point,
you can...
It functions like a piece of terrain with magical effects that work as an aura off of that. So, let's just read the rule real fast.
Sure.
And then we'll go from there. So, the Herdstone. This foul megalith erected by the Beast of Chaos warp and corrupted the land around them. So after territories have been chosen, but before players begin to set up their armies, you can set up 1 Herdstone, which the rules are on 103, wholly within your territory, more than 12 inches away from enemy territory, and more than 1 inch from any other terrain feature. If both players can set up a terrain feature in this manner, each player rolls a dice, rolling again in case of a tie, and whoever rolls higher can choose the order in which the terrain features set up. So basically what that means is you roll off to place it.
Right.
So what does it do?
That's a very good question.
We're going to skip over. Keep going.
What it does is it makes everybody sad. Unless you're a beastman.
Unless you are a friendly beastman at that.
Yes, a friendly beastman at that, which is good, right? Because otherwise it would kind of be weird.
Yeah. So I want to double check. I don't think the Herdstone costs any points. To double check.
It does not.
Herdstone,
it costs 0 points.
1 unit minimum, 1 unit maximum costs 0 points, and it is scenery. It has no stats. You can't actually target it. What does it do? So it has 2 abilities. The first ability is Entropic Lodestone. This one is subtract 1 from save rolls for attacks that target units within 6 inches of this terrain feature. At the start of each battle round after the first, add 6 inches to the range of this ability. Beasts of Chaos units are not affected by this ability.
Oh, so... wow, so if you were fighting other beastmen...
Yeah, that would be... If you're having a beast-on-beast fight, it would be a little weird.
But it's like this ever-expanding, like, just aura of terribleness.
Yeah.
Similarly...
second half of that
right.
ability.
You've got the Locus of Savagery. Beasts of Chaos units wholly within 6 inches of this terrain feature do not take battle shock tests. And again, at the start of each battle round after the first, add 6 inches to the range of this ability. So there's like this... as your beastmen charge forward, they can just be at the head of this wave of unbreakable and your
minus 1 to be
minus
hit.
1 AP. Yeah.
Yeah. Minus 1 to be hit for attack rolls.
No, minus 1 to be hit. Never mind.
So you get harder to hit and you are harder to be broken. And again, it grows 6 inches. So let's see. If a typical game is 5 turns, and it starts at the end of the first turn.
Yeah. At
the start of each battle round after the first turn. So on turn 2, it's 12 inches. On turn 3, it's 18 inches.
That's into enemy territory.
Yep. On turn 4, it's 24 inches.
Well into enemy
25,
territory.
25, it's now 30 inches from the base of this thing. And we're not talking about a small base.
No, this thing is massive.
Yeah, this thing...
It's a
scenery piece.
Yeah, it's, like... It'll fit on one of these guys.
I was getting texts from our producer... unrelated to the segment, sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
It's cool. Yes, anyway, I thought it was like, what, did we do something wrong? No. I thought she was trying to get our attention for questions or something. But anyway, yeah, it gets bigger the whole game. And the late game is when you really want it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But also, there's a secret third ability to the Herdstone.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if you knew this.
I didn't know this. What is this?
Well, I mean, you did because we talked about it. But it's not listed under the Herdstone rules because it is an army ability.
Oh,
so
that one.
Yeah, you're a Beasts of Chaos hero who is wholly within 3 inches of a Herdstone can declare that at the start of their hero phase, they can declare that they are doing a savage blood ritual or a bloodthirsty savage ritual. It's a savage blood ritual. I got it right.
Okay.
If you do so, pick a friendly Beasts of Chaos unit that is just within 3 inches of the Herdstone.
This is the primordial call thing you're talking about?
Yeah. And you can sacrifice them. You can do some mortal wounds to your own guys, sacrificing them to the dark gods that power the Herdstone. Now, why would you want to do this? This is because this is part of the Beastman's summoning mechanic, which is the primordial call.
Now, if you remember, when the big FAQ for Age of Sigmar came out, they actually changed a bunch of the ways that summoning worked. Was the not chapter approved. General's Handbook 2018. All of the summoning stuff changed for a bunch of the armies. This new Allegiance ability, the Primordial Call, actually updates the Beastmen now to be that have their own special thing.
They do. You get some Primordial Call points. You get them at the start of your hero phase.
You get one at the start of every turn.
At the start of every turn. But then you can get more during your hero phase by sacrificing some poor,
at the start of your hero phase, technically.
You can get some more by sacrificing some poor, I don't know, like Ungor.
Ungors. Yeah. You want to chuck Ungor. You want to take a unit of like 10 Ungors that just hangs out and protects the Herdstone next to that character with like a sacrificial dagger.
Knife. Yeah. There's that bowl for blood.
Hey guys, what you doing? Oh, just Gary needed a trim, and then.
Oh, look! One of the Stormcasts got Gary. Oh no! Well, since he's dead, blood. But the reason you want those points is because For 3 points, right? For 3 points, you can summon a unit of Ungors,
Yes.
and we just talked about how you just want to chuck them to the Herdstone anyway. Now, if you want to summon the cool stuff,
but if we're talking like on a pure mathematical ratio, I mean, 3 Ungors for 10 Ungors. This is just
good.
a pretty good.
That's just a good trade in.
But the real reason you want to do this,
is to get all the cool, fancy, fun stuff like chimeras or
Gorgons.
3 Bulgors or like a Jabberslith.
Yes, dragon ogres. You can get 10 Bestigors, which is better than Ungors.
I mean, they are the Bestigors.
No, 5 Centigors. There's just a whole
there's
chart
a whole chart of stuff you can get.
Which is why you want to do that.
Yep. So that's the Herdstone. That's one of the cool new things.
And that's again, that is an army-wide ability, so it doesn't matter which great fray you're sworn to or whatever,
right.
Or what if you're a Brayherd, Warhorde, or Thunderscorn, you still all get access to the Herdstone. So I think it's one of the coolest things about the army, and I think it's flavorful because it's such a big thing for the Beastmen and has been in the past, and a lot of the, especially like the video games, they always have like Beastmen around these giant obelisk-looking things. That's the Herdstones.
Yeah.
But it's a unique thing, a unique feature for the Beastmen of Chaos, and like I said earlier, it really comes into play late game.
Sure.
Because turns 3, 4, 5.
Yeah,
that's
where your
battle shock tests are going to be bad for you because you're going to be you're already going to be. Anytime they're taking one there, it's bad.
It's bad because they're bravery 4 and 5 tops.
Yeah, they're not the best. A lot of the gores, but again, once you become unbreakable and you start playing with that in that aura more, again, it's big footprint. The late game is when it's really going to kick in there, the unbreakableness, and early game it's great too because you're protecting your units from being hit.
Yeah.
I just think it's overall just a really cool, unique ability.
You know what I think would be really interesting is playing like a Beasts of Chaos game versus like an Idoneth Deepkin game, right? Because the Idoneth have that same
tide.
like the tide, right?
Yeah.
Which is like a mechanic that we're kind of seeing in some of the newer armies that are coming out, right? Like as the game goes, the way the army plays changes, and it kind of like you're seeing. I mean, even in the Marathi elves.
Oh, the Daughters of Cain.
Daughters of Cain. Their stuff like increases the longer the game goes.
Yeah,
right?
the more blood.
So they're like,
stuff. Yeah.
All right. It feels like in Age of Sigmar, once you get past turn 3, everyone should be like dead.
Right? You're not wrong.
On the road to it.
You're not wrong. I definitely notice, especially if you want to compare this to its sci-fi cousin 40K. There's definitely in Age of Sigmar, I feel like there's definitely more of that trend towards the game terms. Like you're bringing up the game turns actually affecting what's going on the tabletop, and it's not just something you're keeping track of, but it's actually something you need to be cognizant of and plan for in order to maximize your army the best. I think the Idoneth Deepkin are probably the best example of that.
Sure,
with
absolutely.
the tide table. I think that the Daughters of Cain are another great example of that with their ability. Also, the Nurgle. They do. Their pox chart, plague chart,
counters or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, the pox plague chart thing that changes every turn.
Right.
And it's neat to see stuff in those armies that can manipulate that a little bit more. I think that of all of those, I actually think that the Beasts of Chaos have the simplest version of that.
Sure, absolutely.
And it's the most obvious impact on the table in my mind, just because you plop the Herdstone down and visually 6 inches it's going to grow every turn.
Yeah.
And if you put that in your territory, if you're playing a standard like pitched battle game where I have a 12-inch deployment and you have a 12-inch deployment and we're doing table edges, you can drop that wholly within your territory, and by turn 3 it's touching, or turn 2.
Turn 2, it's touching the enemy's territory. Yeah, 'cause you just have to be 12 inches away from enemy territory.
I mean, again, a 30-inch by the end of the game, it's a big footprint, which is
huge. Yeah.
Well,
and again, like it's this interesting trend, right? That like Age of Sigmar games are kind of meant to feel a little more urgent or dynamic as the turns go by.
That fifth turn hard stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, competitive play typically has like a 6-turn general limit.
Sure, but you're only getting to turn 2.
Once the people start shooting, yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
The other cool thing about this book is that it kind of adds all of the rest of the stuff that you would expect a full army to have. You get artifacts of power for each of the different types of beastmen. So like the Bray herds, which are the Gores.
Yeah, the Gores,
Ungors, all that stuff. The war herds, which are like the Minotaurs and stuff.
Yeah, the bulls and the bigger guys, and then Thunderscorn are the dragon ogres and stuff like that.
So they all get like you can make a general from any one of those 3 types. You can give them all artifacts of power. There's
you can make an army that's just if you just want to do dragon ogres, which is an army that I've always thought would be super cool.
Right.
You can run just the Thunderscorn. Or if you just wanted all Minotaurs and bulls and stuff like that, you could do war herds, which would be super mean.
It would be super mean.
What's neat about this too is they also introduced the allegiances for those allegiance abilities for each one of those. But there are ways to kind of mix and match those. Within some of the battalions options you can choose from. So.
And of course, you can swear your allegiance to one of the the Chaos Gods, right? Because there's rules for what do they call them in Age of Sigmar? Because I keep just calling them chapters. Yeah, but they're not. Like I know they're not.
The War Scroll Battalions.
The War Scroll Battalions.
For that is dedicated to a specific Chaos God.
Yeah. Right, which is pretty cool because it gives them the Chaos God keyword. So like you basically get marked. Yeah. You get the Khorne keyword, which means that if you're running with like demons or whatever, you can be affected by spells and all that kind of cool stuff.
Which great about the Beast of Chaos book, just like you were saying, is it actually feels like it's a great standalone army. But if you wanted to combine battalions with your other Chaos army, you can totally do that now.
Yeah.
If you have a Tzeentch army and you're already running a bunch of Zangors, you can actually make an entire Zangor army using the Beast of Chaos rules.
You could run the Phantasmagoria of Fate, which means that your units that don't have the wizard keyword in that army can attempt to unbind one spell in the enemy hero phase as though they were a wizard.
Which again is kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Having extra dispel options on your tabletop's always nice.
It's always nice, and you just want to have crazy cool chaos times.
Yeah.
That's what you get in Beasts of Chaos.
Yeah, Beasts of Chaos. It's a really cool book. Man. Yeah, the Pestilent Throng. We've talked about the Depraved Drove a little bit. That was another big thing too. Was the fact that Slaanesh is very represented.
Prominent in this book.
Very prominent in this book. You can do Slaanesh marks as well. You can take the Depraved Drove, which is the battalion. The only thing we don't have is Slaaneshi Beastmen models.
Right, because the Zangors are very clearly
Nurgle, right? I'm just kidding. There's very clearly Tzeentch. We know that.
Right.
We've had Pestigors in the past, so those are older models, but Chaos,
but they're
Nurgle Beastmen.
Nurgle friends.
Generic Beastmen are already kind of cornate.
But especially the bulls.
Yeah.
The Minotaurs, etc.
But we haven't ever really had the Slaaneshi version.
Yeah. I'm kind of afraid to know what that looks like.
I am too. I do want to call out the painting schemes, though, that are in the book. Because they actually do have examples of, hey, do you want to paint... a Slaaneshi guy. Matter of fact, Mars, can we go to the overhead real quick?
Slaanesh flesh.
Slaaneshi fleshy. There we go. So you can see here. Sorry. There we go.
Still, I will move.
Haha. There we go. They have a whole Slaanesh detail thing, painting Slaanesh skin on your Beastmen as well. This whole painting section, by the way, is just a fantastic job.
It really is.
If you have no idea techniques, how to paint stuff, it's not exactly step-by-step for all of this stuff, but it's going to be... It's not like, draw a circle, now draw the stupid owl. It's actually...
Right.
A little bit more in depth than that.
There's like a rich variety of details from markings on horns to painting fur and flesh.
Yeah.
Adding...
They even have like skin different
conditions.
Skin tones and skin conditions.
So if you want to give your Beastman eczema, you can.
Or liver spots, I think was the one.
Liver spots. Well, sure, but it's just a small step from there. The same technique could also get you eczema.
That's
maybe
true.
A little rosacea.
Yeah.
Look, it's bad news being a servant of chaos, guys.
Yeah.
Just in general, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't.
Watch out. Yeah. Yeah.
You'll get.
I would
itis.
never be a Nurgle follower.
It just seems like a bad idea.
Bad. Just a walking pustule. Anyway,
anyway,
let's go back to the regular cam there as I throw up from the imagery of being a Nurgle.
Okay,
follower.
but which would you, if you had to pick,
Corn.
Nurgle or Slaanesh though?
Corn.
Between Nurgle and Slaanesh,
Corn.
which would you pick?
Corn.
Which one's grosser?
Oh, who's grosser is clearly Nurgle.
Okay.
But for different reasons, Corn all the way though.
Oh,
I would punch dudes with my horns if I was a Chaos Beastman.
If I were to,
so you could say ram them, but I would punch them.
You punch them with your horns.
Yeah.
Well, the thing that you can say for the Khornate armies, there's a lot of leadership in there because most of their officers are colonels.
Anyway, do we have any questions about Beasts of Chaos? Probably not. Yeah, it's a good book. I'm actually really excited to see what people do with this army, just because, they have a lot of different ways to play now. Before, they really didn't, and I think this book does a fantastic job of actually making them a real army.
Yeah.
So, I hope to see it. I hope to see them on the tabletop. It's a whole lot of beef, too, if you take those Minotaurs.
It is a whole lot of beef.
Woo!
You know where it is.
Yeah.
It's there.
It's in this book. Where's the beef? In this book. All right, let's talk about some RPG goodies now. I will put the Beast Cast to the side here. We have Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And again, if you have any questions about Beast Chaos or Waterdeep, let us know.
This is still, it remains one of the best urban adventures that WotC has published. It's a great guide for running an urban adventure if you want to do that. It's also a great gazetteer for the city of Waterdeep, which is one of the more iconic cities in Dungeons and Dragons.
And comes with an awesome map.
It comes with an awesome map.
And real fast too. I don't know if did we point this out last time, but we actually tore the map out. We broke down and did it. But it's got the player map on one side, and then the other side is got the DM map that actually has all the locations marked.
Yeah,
we're not going to show that off anymore because I don't want to spoil it. But I thought that was really neat.
And
nice
you can find bigger versions of this same map available from or soon from Gale Force 9.
Yeah. They have the nice fancy one, right?
They've got the nice fancy mats. They've got sections.
Yeah.
They're also having a collection of minis from the adventure, which is cool because you meet a lot of iconic characters from D&D in this. One of the things that I really like about this idea is that You've run a campaign of D&D before, right?
Yeah.
And so have some of you out there at the internet, I assume, right?
I would hope so.
If you've done that, when was the last time you made it past level 10, right? When was the last time you made it past level 15? There's a lot of cool stuff in there that you don't really get to see, right?
Right.
But this book has the attitude of why wait? It's a level 1 to 5 adventure. But you're running up against challenge rating 15 monsters.
Yeah.
You're getting treasure that the book might recommend for higher levels, but you're getting them at the low levels because that's where most people are going to kind of play the game, and you want a taste of everything, right?
Yeah.
And this book does a good job of giving you a taste of everything about D&D. It's a little more role playing heavy.
Sure.
And I think it's a really good book for new DMs, especially.
Oh, yeah.
If you've never played Dungeons and Dragons before and are kind of thinking okay, I want to get in, this book has a really good structure. It also has a little of the creativity built in.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, but one of the ways the adventure works is that it's got 4 different villains that you can kind of pick from to decide okay, I kind of want to see what it's like if I put, a beholder and his network of evil guys up against the party or whatever. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it gets you thinking I'm making choices about how I'm structuring my campaign. It gets you thinking about the villain of your campaign.
The big bad.
And what are their motivations.
The big bad, yeah. What I really like about it too is it is perfect for new DMs for the simple fact that there is so much to pull from. You should never run out of ideas for what to do. Everything is really, really well detailed and laid out and organized that if you just read about the city of Waterdeep in this book, you're going to be able to picture the different NPCs, the different factions that are vying for control. You're going to be able to see how all the pieces fit together from a really high-level view and also closer up with specific NPCs. But once you start playing the game, you're going to have that idea of how everything's working in the city and the larger overall plot. And once you're able to think about that and visualize that in your own head, it makes it a lot easier to communicate that to your players. When they're wandering around the city and don't know the full story, you have everything at your fingertips right here as the DM to create the perfect story for your crew.
Absolutely, and it's got a lot of room to like have side adventures and stuff.
Oh
as well.
Yeah.
One of the things we talked about briefly, but didn't really go into too much, were the different factions of Waterdeep. So like these are organizations like the Harpers or Forest Grey, or like the Emerald Enclave or the Zentarim. There are a whole bunch of different like factions that your PCs can get connected with.
And you want to as a player, when you hear about like, oh yeah, the Harpers are doing this thing over there, you're thinking, who are the Harpers? Who are they? Good guys, bad guys? What do they do? Like, how do we get in contact with them? Yeah. And so if you want to have that central hub for your players or central NPC, I know a lot of players will go back to the familiar NPCs and locations and hit those up and be like, hey, I want to build a relationship with this NPC because they seemed interesting or for whatever reason they keep going back there. It's familiar. So this helps you establish those orders. Talks about the orders and helps you go back to those NPCs.
It does. It also tells you about the guilds and some of the NPCs because one of the things that Waterdeep Dragon Heist does, spoilers, is it gives your players an inn. And as soon as you have real estate, like it's really cool, but it also comes with a
lot of strings attached.
A lot of strings attached. So like you'll get a visit from a representative of the Fellowship of Innkeepers, then also perhaps from the Vintners, Distillers, and Brewers Guild, or the Guild of Butchers.
There are a lot of guilds in the city that are looking to do business and to make those connections, and those things help ground your campaign and your players into a sense of community and reality with the city of Waterdeep. Now, keep in mind, you get that in at like first or second level. Like, you get it super early in the adventure for a reason. That is going to be your
base,
your lair, your base of operations for your players. It gives them an anchor point in the city, a place that they can retreat to and lick their wounds, or plan and launch out from there once they clean up the ghost. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. And once they deal with the rival, petty-minded rival kind of created straight out of the back of Xanathar's guide, who is there to cause problems because he wants the inn for himself. So like there's so much that you can either gloss over as you follow the main plot line, or you can find something interesting and really kind of like get dug into it. So it's maybe a paragraph and a half, but in that there's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 sessions worth of adventures and things the problem to deal with. Like, it wouldn't take up the whole adventure, the whole session.
No, definitely higher level than a side quest, but not.
Well, and it's stuff that like that feeds to the story and adds this sort of consistency. So like one of the things that the rival might do, for instance, is spread some rumors that the character's tavern is rat infested, and that's why he didn't buy it, and then they have to deal with that. Or he might like secretly unleash some were rats or rats in the basement, and then hey, bunch of low-level adventurers got to go clean out the rats from the basement.
How many times have we seen that one played out?
Right.
Except now you're the innkeeper.
So you could hire yourselves or some other first level schmoes, depending on when that happens, to go deal that with that for you. The point is, there's a lot of this adventure gives you a lot of tools that you can use, and it gives you some real good instructions for how to use them, and it kind of leads by examples for new DMs.
One of the cool things about all of the content in here too is it's optional.
Yeah.
Like if you just want to steal all of the ideas and make your own city and do piecemeal stuff, and you can do that as a DM. Like, I don't know if people like really feel empowered to do that, but when you are the DM, you are creating everything. You have all the tools in your toolbox to create the story that you want to tell and the adventures that you want to run through with your crew. But there's no rule when you buy the book that you have to follow it step by step by step. If you want to give them the inn at like level 10 instead of level 5 or 1, go for it. If you want to say the season thing, seasons are associated with one of the villains, but you don't have to have that villain in that season.
No, not at all.
You can do some legwork and
one of the if you look online and kind of follow the discussion about this, the sort of consensus of the community is that like the book is fun, but one of the big complaints that kind of keeps bubbling up to the surface is that like the villain mechanic might feel a little weird, right? They're like, well, but I'm running Xanathar, right?
Yeah.
Well, I don't get to use the other villains. They just don't show up, like Manchun or the Castellanters or Jarlaxle won't show up if I pick Xanathar. Like, what gives? And like the book, like the plot sort of off the rack is one of these villains is after them, and they give you like suggestions of how to flavor the encounters. But it's really not that hard to go through and figure out, okay, like, here are some of the... Because they give you each a villain's base of operations. They give you each villain's, like, sample minions and different things that they might be doing. It's super easy to be like, all right, I've got, like, three of these guys are all going after the treasure, or all of them, really. Especially because the players aren't meant to fight the villains, like...
You're not supposed to go after Xanathar as a level up to 5 character. You're not supposed to go after the Beholder. Yeah. Like, that's not the point.
No, the point is to national treasure your way through the city of Waterdeep, looking for where this stupid hoard of 500,000 gold pieces or gold dragons is.
And that's the whole point, is this whole adventure is designed in such a way that you can create a world that feels alive where, you know what if the players completely ignore the vault and just, hey, we have an inn, we're going to use this as our base of operations, we're going to go adventuring and do other stuff, and that whole side story is just a thing. You can make it so that the world is still advancing, the timeline's still moving forward, these 4 factions are still going at it. Matter of fact, Gale Force 9 is coming out with the board game, the Waterdeep, the board game that mimics exactly that,
which is called Vault of Dragons, and it's a board game that puts you in charge of one of those 4 factions.
You are one of the 4 factions. You're Xanathar, you're Jarlaxle, whatever,
and you're sending your guys out there to try and find the gold. What game was that? Because you said it's like a layered on top of an existing.
I don't remember. I think it was Sons of Anarchy, game, but I'm not 100% sure on that one, so don't quote me on it. But it's based off of another game, but it's worker placement. It's dealing with other factions in, like, you're a crime boss. Yeah. So
there's some board control, there's some worker placement, there's a lot.
Yeah, it's recruitment, obviously, and that's what I'm saying, though. Like, the concept, the idea that people are after this vault, and it's not... basically, the players' actions are not happening in a vacuum. Right. And the city itself is alive and thriving. There are things happening in the background the players may not even be aware of. And that complaint of, oh, well, I don't get to use these other villains, what's the point? That's just lazy DMing, to be perfectly blunt. Like, if you're not thinking about using those other villains in some other way, even if it's indirectly or in the background of your story, if you can't think of a way to incorporate the second, third, or fourth criminal faction messing with the players and messing with the other criminal factions... Oh, man, I just watched, perfect example, I just watched Luke Cage, the second season on Netflix. It's been out for a while. It was behind him on Netflix, right? A lot of that story is about not Luke Cage and the other criminal factions fighting, and that's a great example of how can I take that idea? How can I have Xanathar fighting with these other people here? How can the players impact the gangster fight, essentially? You're a small time player. Because you have an inn, you have a dog in this fight now. You have some real estate to be fighting over. Maybe one of the other rival factions approaches you and approaches the players and says, "Hey, we want to take over the equivalent of your liquor distribution, and if you don't pay us, we'll rough you up." And then, or Xanathar does that, and now they've got to deal with 2 factions. Instead of just the main big bad, they've got multiple big bads to deal with. There's just, again, if you're not thinking outside of the box of, like, I just want to run this linear adventure, then you're just, you're not trying. You're
giving yourself, like, you're not giving yourself enough credit, right?
Which is what the book just try it.
Also, something you said a while back kind of was really interesting to me. So, one of the things in the book is that that gold is getting found, right? The player's actions don't happen in a vacuum. So you might succeed. Or maybe the players find the thing that tells you how to get to the Vault of Dragons and then like die, or no one knows that it was there, or they hide it away forever and then no one gets it. But they've got like, okay, so if the villains succeed, here's kind of what they do with the gold. If they don't succeed, here's what happens to them. Here's because again, your players aren't necessarily going to kill them, and there's just a whole lot of interesting.
Yeah, I want to also call out if you do the adventure kind of on the rails, that's fine too.
It's
totally fine to do that. I'm just saying if people are complaining about about wanting to go off the rails and being forced on the rails, then you're not trying. But my point is that there's some wiggle room to work with. The adventure does have an endpoint, which if you're running it on the rails, you should go from level 1 to 5 by the end of the adventure. The players will ideally, if everything worked according to the plan, I guess.
Yeah.
They should end up with 500,000 gold dragons, which is a boatload of money. This book takes that into account, and
they do.
Yes, you can spend that gold, but there are things that are happening with that money that one of the logistical problems you're going to have is how do we get 500,000 gold dragons out of the vault without one giving away the location. Or letting everybody know, putting a big sign, free gold here when nobody's around. Because if you did something like that, what's stopping the other 4 factions, the other 4 criminal organizations, from just waiting for your players to walk out and then walking in and with a bunch of carts and taking all your money,
Right.
So there is some stuff like that. I think there's a guild. There's a couple like the Harpers. People get their cut. I'm getting at.
They do. They get their cut.
So, and then you can always take the goal away from the players, which is also a really necessary thing to do for the players. Because, honestly, if you're thinking about it, you're a 5th level adventurer. You just got, if you're in a party of 4 people and you're divvying up that 500,000, you could just retire. I'm a retired adventurer now.
But that's only if you get away with it, right? Because having the gold, right? That is technically gold that like the one of the lords of Waterdeep, Lord Neverember, he embezzled from the city's treasury. So that technically belongs to the city.
That is very true. So dealing with that fallout.
Dealing with that is going to be true. Like getting 500,000 gold is no easy feat. So that in itself can be like levels 5 through 10 or whatever.
And if you are a DM, I highly encourage you to not do the hand waving about wait for gold coins.
No.
Specifically for this adventure.
A lot of money.
That is a lot of money and has a lot of real weight to it.
Well, and like this is like when that much sort of gold is on the line, right? Like everyone's interested, and like you can tell your players, all right, how are you hiding the fact that you're doing this from the people that have all of these resources to see what's going on. Yeah. Which can be like a really interesting sort of hidden mini adventure.
Mm-hmm. There's so much content to chew on. There's a lot of, just unforeseen ripple effects and consequences that go along with that money. I mean, it's super fun. I've always wanted to do a heist game, Ocean's 11 style. I think that's really cool. It's a really cool concept. The planning and the detail work and all that fun stuff. It's just really fun. The other cool thing about Waterdeep with Dragon Heist 2 is like we mentioned earlier, a lot of these villains are way higher challenge ratings than the player party. So there are ways to play the adventure in a non-combat kind of direction. So JRG, like, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. Like your face of the party, the bard. Or something, or your high charisma cleric or paladin or something like that. You don't just have to bash people in the face.
No, you can like talk to them. You can threaten them with like, okay, I've made allies with this like high-level NPC.
Yeah.
So if you come after me, they're coming after you, and you really want, like, them... You really want the Waterdeep Guard, like, all of them coming after you.
Right.
There's just a lot.
Yeah. Bust out those bluff checks. Bust out those intimidation checks. There's a lot of way to do it. And isn't there in the DM's guide rules for alternate intimidation?
There are rules for alternate intimidation checks. Yes.
Yeah, so maybe check those out. You know, if you are playing the big beefy fighter with a really bad, charisma score, there's rules to help you out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's Waterdeep. Let's go to the world of darkness now.
Yes! Not the world we live in, but a slightly darker version of it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. It's actually kind of fun. So we had the new Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition book.
Yes, it is out in stores now. I think it came out this weekend.
Yeah, I think so.
We got to flip through it and take a quick look through it. We don't have it here with us.
But you can see our video of it tomorrow.
Tomorrow we will have our video on our website, BoLS.net, up. So check that out.
Yeah, be sure and don't miss it.
Yeah.
Be sure and don't.
Be sure and don't miss it. Let's just start from the beginning. If you're not familiar at all with what Vampire the Masquerade is or World of Darkness.
Well, then congratulations on cryogenic freezing working.
Yeah, and ignoring the 90s.
Welcome to the year 2018.
Yeah.
The flat things everyone's looking at are phones. But nobody actually makes calls on them anymore.
Yeah, it's true. Welcome, time traveler. So, World of Darkness.
Yeah.
The setting. So we didn't preface this. World of Darkness is the setting.
Right.
Vampire the Masquerade is a game in that setting.
Right.
There will be other games in that setting based on different supernatural stuff.
Yeah.
It's later. We're gonna focus on. Let's talk high level real fast. World of Darkness is kind of like what I was jokingly just saying.
Yeah.
It is basically the real world, but a slightly twisted, darker version of it.
They turned the darkness up to 10, maybe 11 in some places.
Yeah, but
yeah.
it's just more. It's a twisted version. What's going on in the background of the World of Darkness is that monsters are real.
Yeah, they have been all along.
They have been all along.
In the past, vampires sort of secretly ruled all of medieval Europe and Russia or whatever, and the Inquisition was around and they hunted them almost to extinction, and so the vampires retreated, went into torpor, did all kinds of stuff in the shadows. You know the drill. We've all seen read.
They went into hiding.
Yeah,
and the reason they did that was survival,
right.
Basically
staying alive,
gotta stay alive. So
undead.
Stay undead. Re-dead again? I don't know. Anyway. That's a whole other tangent. Anyway, fast forward to the modern age.
Right.
Vampires are still in the shadows and hiding. They're trying to keep their presence low-key. That's why it's called the Masquerade. The whole, hiding behind the mask of we're not actually vampires, we don't exist, trying to stay hidden. So... this is the 5th edition of this game. The previous edition, 4th edition, kind of rejiggered some of the timeline stuff. We're not going to get into all that. But what you need to know is there is basically the Council of Vampires.
Right.
And there are different houses of vampires or clans. They kind of all have an agreement of upholding this masquerade. Mostly. So there was a faction that doesn't really exist anymore right now.
Yes. That was the Sabbat. So if you are a Vampire the Masquerade fan, you know there's two big vampire factions. There's the Camarilla and the Sabbat.
Yeah.
The Camarilla are the Anne Rice vampires. They just want to hang out, pretend like it's still the Baroque period, be real sad.
Drink blood from goblets.
Just kind of drape around sexily over furniture. Wear too much lace. Or not enough lace. I don't know.
I can tell. I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Or there's the Sabbat they want to be the underworld vampires.
They were the underworld.
They just want to hang out.
They wanted to be out there. They wanted to make their presence known.
Yeah, but then they ran into Blade Trinity.
Right.
Or in this world, a group of vampires started posting all of their secrets to the internet, the literal dark net, which is kind of funny. But the government finds out, and so
the actual in the world, the actual CIA finds out, hey, these guys are still around and this is a real thing. Well, that's not good. And they're a shadowy organization that runs everything. Well, but we're a shadowy organization that runs everything. We can't have that.
That's not fair.
That's not fair.
Let's kill them all.
So all of the world's intelligence agencies essentially get together and form the Second Inquisition. I'm not making this up.
No, that's in the book. I mean, it's not like it's not all of them, right? Like there's a secret shadowy cabal. That's the Second Inquisition. Because I guess if everyone found out vampires were real, there'd be panic.
Yeah. So they actually go around and they take out the Sabbat.
Yeah.
They just take them out. They're gone.
There are probably some out there in hiding or whatever, but it's bad.
Yeah. They also have updated the setting to be even more modern than previous versions in the sense that
they acknowledge that the internet exists.
They acknowledge the internet's a thing. They also acknowledge the fact that people walk around with phones in their pockets that are connected to the internet and have cameras and can upload videos to YouTube in seconds.
Yeah.
So you literally can't walk around as a vampire and just,
do vampire
stuff because it'll get caught on camera and that whole thing. They actually have the Camarilla have a no cell phone rule.
Yeah, they went all Amish.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's no cell phone, no internet, no no nothing. They're like we're that's it. We're sending letters.
We're sending mail.
That was fine.
Yeah, we're going to go back to writing paper letters and hand deliver them with our couriers. Yeah.
Because we're not putting stamps on these things and sending them, which is good. Because if they did, they'd get intercepted. And,
we got burned by that internet. We're not trusting that again.
No TVs.
Yeah.
Hey, you've played that Nintendo too long, young man.
Yeah. Seriously, Luddites, but. Not that that's a bad thing, but then how are you watching our video? But anyway, they don't like technology for obvious reasons because we're trying to be a secretive undead vampire.
The internet does ruin everything, including being a vampire.
It's true. So, fast forward. Again, this is set in our current modern world with a slightly darker take, but that's kind of the overall Vampire the Masquerade basic factions. Now, even within the Camarilla, like a camel, but Rilla.
Right.
Even within that, there are vampires who are kind of anarchists.
Yeah, they're like, but we like I gotta knock
over
those.
But I got the Facebook addiction, dog.
I gotta knock over that castle and kill those pigs.
Yep.
Those birds. They gotta do it.
How am I supposed to play Fortnite with no internet, dog?
Come on.
Yeah. That there is a faction that the anarchs actually that millennials. They're millennial vampires, folks. That's because when you're feeding on people and turning them into vampires, if you're doing modern people, they're gonna be like, what do you mean I can't post to Facebook anymore? That rule's stupid. So
forever, and I have to live for fine. So they're the anarchs, and they kind of oppose the hidebound traditionalists of the Camarilla.
Right. Now, if you're like a Nosferatu vampire, I totally get why you don't want to post on Facebook because you scary looking.
Yeah.
So but anyway, the book is out. It is more adult theme, I would say.
Yeah,
it's definitely 18 up. There's obviously it's vampires. It's a very sexy, graphic game with blood sucking and all that stuff involved.
The question is, they can't post on Facebook, but can they post to Tinder or Grindr?
I don't know. That is a great question.
Right? That would be a great way to track down potential food.
Right. Swipe left to suck the blood. I'm just saying, or right. I don't know. I don't use it, but swiping one of the directions. Swipe up to suck blood. Swipe down to behead. I don't know. Have them for lunch.
I like that you think that this is down.
Whatever. Point is, you're absolutely right. That would be a fertile hunting ground for vampires.
But that could also be a great way to set up a trap if you are a hunter of vampires.
That's true.
And sort of all of this information about the world of darkness.
Where's that guy? The How to Catch a Predator guy who just shows up? I'm not here.
Do you know why you're here? Do you know why we have this steak
because
right
I want to suck your... Oh, you have a steak? Yeah. Oh, garlic. Yeah, they're not that kind of vampire. But anyway... Yes.
So this book updates the world of darkness, and even if you are not a fan of Vampire the Masquerade, this book is still worth checking out because it's the start of the newer world of darkness.
Newer world or
now,
darkness.
I don't know for sure if there are plans to do like werewolf or changeling or mage or whatever, but especially with that like Second Inquisition stuff, I really want to see them do like a new hunter, right?
Let's be perfectly honest, folks. We don't know the plans. Like, we haven't been told, but why wouldn't they do that?
Come on, seriously, guys.
Seriously, like, why wouldn't they do that?
I mean,
it's a pretty
maybe.
No, not even. It's still White Wolf.
Yeah,
they still own all that.
Okay.
I just, in a world that, in the current era that we live in, Supernatural has been on the TV for 12 years at this point. I think it's season 12 or 13 now. Folks know what hunters are. Like, I'm sure there's a fan base out there that's just like, give us rules to play hunters, because man, oh man, I've been wanting to play that for 10 years now. So, but yes, I can't see why they wouldn't have an expansion planned or expansions planned. Freaking werewolf, for crying out loud. People love vampires and werewolves, and
they do.
You know, I don't know if they're gonna get like all the way down the chain like they did in third, which was like mummy and like ghosts and
wraiths. Like,
yeah.
But I mean, they got pretty far in fourth or whatever. They got really far with Vampire the Reckoning and Werewolf the whatever.
Well, it was Hunter the Reckoning and
Vampire Requiem. That's what it was. And then there was the other. Anyway, that edition happened.
Yeah.
They had some really cool stuff in there, and they got really far. So we'll see what they do with this one.
Can we talk mechanics real fast? About
let's talk mechanics.
So the game itself is based off of a D10 system.
Right.
A 1 through 5s are failures. 6 through 10 are successes.
Right.
If you roll 2 10s on a check, that counts as a critical success.
Okay.
So those count double, basically.
Sure.
The way the dice, the way the game breaks down is whenever you have to make a check, you're going to roll based on your dice pool, which is built from probably an attribute and a skill.
Sure.
So if I'm going to give me an example.
You're hacking the mainframe.
Sure. It's probably going to be your intelligence skill or intelligence stat or attribute and like computer skill or computer literacy, whatever it's called this version.
Yeah.
And those are represented by a certain number of pips, usually 1 through 5 or 0 through 5 if you have never been trained. You're going to say I have 3 intelligence and a 3 computer skill. So I'm going to
6 dice.
I'm going to roll bingo. I'm going to roll 6 dice. And let's say it's a simple Google search for my grandma or something like that. That's probably going to be a 1 check.
Sure.
So I have to roll my 6 dice, boom, and get at least 1 success. If I get 1 success, the check passes, good to go. Let's say it's a little bit more complicated.
Sure.
I don't know. What's a good hacking example?
You're trying to get into the blood bank records to find out if
looking for typo negative only. Blah. Yeah. So.
Thanks, Drac.
Yeah. So let's just say that's a 3 difficulty check.
Sure.
I don't know. I'm making stuff up here.
Yeah, but that's 3.
I roll my 6 dice. Boom. I'm looking for 3 successes out of that pool.
Gotcha.
And that's basically it. Any kind of skill check like that. So what I'm saying is, mechanically, this game is not super difficult. Also, hit points.
Yeah.
It's not like a traditional RPG where everybody's got, I've got 15 hit points and I've got 37 hit points. It's, you have like a wound pool, and everybody's got essentially the same wound pool, and there are ways to mitigate that and manipulate that. But if I shoot JR's character,
why would you do that?
I don't know. I'm just making an example.
What did I do to you?
I don't know. You're trying to suck my blood. I don't know. I shotgun you. You take damage, and if you take lethal damage, it's bad times. But that's basically what we're talking about here. It's not a super complicated mechanic game.
It's
this
like
is a narrative game.
Yeah, that's the storyteller engine, but updated and with some tweaks. So
exactly. That's the big thing about the game. It does have some tweaks from previous editions, but it's been around. This is the 5th edition. It's been around for a while now. They've got that ironed out pretty well. But the game really revolves around the players, the setting, the story,
the intrigue,
or
lack thereof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, if that's your cup of tea or blood, I guess in this case.
Yeah.
Vampire is out now, so
check that out. That's in stores. Waterdeep Dragon Heist is out.
Waterdeep is out tomorrow,
or now, depending if your game store is cool.
Yeah, and then Beast of Chaos will be out this weekend in retail stores. It's up for pre-order right now.
And next you'll be able to pre-order Night Vault, which is the new expansion for Warhammer Underworlds.
That's another fun thing that's coming out. Of just a lot of cool tabletop news happening right now. So, any final stuff we want to talk about? We're kind of out of time at this point.
I know. So I guess now that Waterdeep is out, the next big Waterdeep book is going to be the Dungeon of the Madman.
Yeah,
which is Undermountain, and that's a level 6 through 20 book.
Wait, this is 1 through 5.
Oh,
that one's 6 through 20.
You could just put them.
You could just
like that.
Yes, they planned that. They planned that specifically.
They planned that specifically.
Yeah.
That's mostly what's
and that's due out
November. Yeah.
Yeah.
Give you time enough to play through this.
Yeah. Which is man, you have to play a couple of games a week. No, one game a week.
Probably play a game a week and get it done, especially if you didn't dither around too much.
Yeah.
It's not a super long adventure, but that's kind of a positive thing because you can actually tell the story and you complete it and it's done.
That's another thing too about this is another aside, but campaigns in D&D have a tendency, if you don't have a set story you're trying to tell, they tend to meander around for a little bit and then folks kind of peter out.
Yeah.
What I like about Waterdeep Dragon Heist is it is a contained adventure. It has an arc, it has stuff happening, and then you're done. And you can go basically, if you think of this like a TV show, this is season 1,
right?
And then season 2 is coming out in November, and you can just continue from there. Yeah. But if most groups will either play to a certain level and then reset with new characters, or the DM will just flip out and kill everyone TPK style.
That never happens.
That never happens. Ever. Or people just, can't make it commitments.
They can't make it, and then the next thing you know, it's been 2 months since you've played.
Yeah, and everybody's forgotten. But that's why having those starting and stopping points is so nice.
It's also a great place to check in and reassess and hey, do we want to keep playing these characters? Are we renewing our TV show for another 13 episodes?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all we've got.
Yeah.
So be sure and tune back in next week. We'll probably take you through some stuff about Night Vault.
Ooh.
And we'll maybe talk about. I want to talk about Orktober because that's going to be.
It's around the corner. Yeah. Holy crap! It's already mid-September. What happened to this year? Anyway, come back and join us next time for the BoLS Tabletop Hour. I'm Adam Harry.
I'm JR.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.